Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hope you all are fine and safe and taking extra precautionary measures at your home. Due to this current situation, we have decided to deliver online lectures for students so their golden hours might not be wasted. I hope you are getting benefits from these lectures. So, students, today we are going to do direct and indirect speech. As you all know that there are many occasions in which we need to describe an event or action that happened. Very often that includes repeating what someone said. Such occasions can include a social situation as well as in a work, email, or any presentation. In order to describe what people said, there are two different types of speech. One is direct speech and the other is indirect speech. So students, let's talk about the direct speech first. In English language, there are two ways of conveying what someone else has said. Direct, quoted speech, and indirect, reported speech. So indirect speech, you have one clear example that the thing that is said by anyone else is quoted, is in inverted commas. But in indirect speech, you are here or any third person is here to quote the thing that the first person has said. Okay, direct speech, what is it? Direct or quoted speech involves quoting the exact words uttered by the person within inverted commas or quotation marks. For example, here is the example. Annie said, I'll be coming home tonight. So as you see that here are inverted commas and it shows that it is a direct speech and the person has quoted as it is what Annie has said. Now indirect speech. Indirect speech or reported speech, on the other hand, doesn't have to be within quotes or reported word to word. In fact, unless one is relaying the exact words spoken, one should never use quotation marks. So there is a third person that is delivering what Annie has said. So he will or she will say like this, she said that she would be coming home that night. So there are no inverted commas. The word that, this word that has replaced the inverted commas. So students, you have understood it well? Okay, now here are many types of sentences that are included in every type of speech. First of all, we are going to take exclamatory sentences. Exclamatory sentences are those sentences that expresses state of joy or sorrow or wonder. Okay, for example, hurrah, alas, wow. These all are called exclamatory sentences. So how we are going to change these sentences into indirect speech? Look here. To change such sentences, the words exclaim with joy or exclaim with sorrow or exclaim with wonder is added in the reporting verb depending upon the nature of exclamatory sentence in indirect speech. So what was a direct? He said, hurrah, I won a prize. Now, for changing into indirect speech, what we are going to write, he is exclaimed with joy that he had won a prize. So the word hurrah has taken the place of exclaim with joy in indirect speech. Likewise, she said, alas, I failed in exam. She exclaimed with sorrow that she failed in the exam. Exclaim with sorrow is on the place of alas, and the word that is in the place of inverted commas. So all the examples are here that you have seen on your screen. John said, wow, what a nice shirt it is. John exclaimed with wonder that it was a nice shirt. So students, you have also observed that there is a change of tense while changing into indirect speech. I'm going to tell you how the tenses and how the words are changed into indirect speech later on. First of all, we are going to do imperative sentence. Okay, imperative sentence are those sentences that express command, request, advice, or suggestion is called imperative sentence. For example, open the door is a order, please help me is a request, learn your lesson is a advice. So now we are going to learn that how we are going to change imperative sentences of direct speech into indirect speech. Now, as we have done in exclamatory sentences, that the words that were here to show the feelings, for example, alas, hurrah, wow, they were changed with exclaim with happiness, exclaim with sorrow, or exclaim with grief. Okay, so now in the imperative sentence, you are going to change the word that are showing request, advice, order, suggestion. They are going to changed by their direct words requested, suggested, ordered, advised. For example, look at the first example, students. He said to me, please help me. Now, please help me is a sentence that is showing that he is requesting. Okay, so he requested me to help him. Next is, she said to him, you should work hard for exam. He suggested him to work hard for exam. So students, whenever you are going to find any imperative sentence and you see any order, any advice, any suggestion or any request in a direct speech and you have to change it into indirect speech, so you have to write the words like request, suggest, ordered, advised. Okay, so you have to keep these two things in your mind for doing exclamatory sentences and for doing imperative sentences. Okay, now at the third point, we are going to do indirect speech for interrogative question sentence. Let's read it. For changing interrogative or question sentence into indirect speech, we have to observe the nature of question and then change it into indirect speech according to its rules for indirect speech. A question can be of two types. One type, which can be answered in only yes and no, and the other type, which needs a little bit explanation for its answer and cannot be answered in only yes and no. So, for example, direct speech. They said to me, did you go to school? And for indirect speech, as you seen in the question that they said to me, did you go to school? So this is the question that is being input in inverted commas. And for indirect speech, students, you are going to change said to me into asked. They asked me if I had gone to school. So you also have to change the tense in indirect speech. Okay, how do we change direct speech to indirect speech? Now we are going to observe some rules or some examples. How to use reported speech. Reported speech is the indirect speech, as I have told you earlier, that direct and quoted speech, indirect and reported speech. Reported speech means that somebody is here to report, somebody is here to tell. Okay, when we use reported speech, we are usually talking about the past. Therefore, the verb usually change to the past tense in reported speech. So, in reported speech or in indirect speech, the verbs, the helping verbs, verb to be, or simple verbs, action words, they usually change to the past tense. For example, now, students, here is for your learning. This thing, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words that you can learn by heart. Am and is, they become was. Are become were. Have has become had. Can can't become could, couldn't. Will won't become would, wouldn't. Okay, so these all are changed into past tense in the reported speech or in indirect speech. Okay, now this is also an important part in indirect and direct speech that you have to remember it too. Tense change in indirect speech. Now, please see students very carefully. Present simple tense, that is changed into past simple tense. Present continuous tense, that is changed into past continuous tense. Present perfect continuous tense, that is changed into past perfect continuous tense. Past simple into past perfect. Past continuous into past perfect continuous. Future simple, will into would. Future continuous, will be, would be. Future perfect, will have, would have. Okay? So please look at this chart very, very carefully, and you can also copy this chart on your rough notebook or any of your English notebook, of your grammar notebook. You can copy this chart and you can learn all these things by heart. You have to remember how the tense and which tense is changing into which tense. This is going to help you a lot. So students, this direct, indirect, they are very easy to do if you understand only these three things, that which verb to be is going to change in which verb to be, and which tense is going to change into which tense. Okay, now changes in time and adverbs. Besides, there is a minor changes in time and adverbs in indirect speech. For example, if there is an example, ठीक है, she asked me, inverted commas, what are you wearing today? Okay, so I'm going to change it into indirect speech, like she asked me that what I was going to wear that day. So today has changed into that day or the same day. Tomorrow, the next day, the following day. Yesterday, the day before, or the previous day. Next week, next month, next year, the following week, the following month, the following year. Last week, last month, last year, the previous week, the previous month, the previous year. Now and just are changed into them. Ago is changed into before. Here is changed into there. This is changed into that. Okay, students, thank you so much for listening to this lecture very carefully, but I will suggest you to go through this once more or twice so that you may have the better understanding of all the tenses that are changed into different tenses and all the words that are being changed into direct and indirect speech. Today, I just have briefed you only these things, the rules, the examples, that what are the direct speech and indirect speech, okay, and how to use them in your words or how to use them in your everyday speech. So in next class or in next lecture, we are going to do some exercises on this topic. I will be providing you with some worksheets and you are going to solve them. So after reading or after going through this whole topic, you just have to have a pencil and a book in your hand, and you have to practice a little bit only on those examples that are being here in these lecture. Okay. Thank you, students. Take care of you and your family and stay at home.